the Doctor. I'm a Time Lord. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Kasterborous.
I hope the ears are a bit less conspicuous this time.
You might be a doctor, but I am
I'm a doctor, but probably not the one who looks good.
Absolutely fantastic.
All of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start?
Okay. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Bigger on the Inside, the Doctor Who Watch-Along podcast. Today we're doing something a little bit different because yesterday it was announced that Christopher Eccleston would be returning to Doctor Who for the first time in 15 years for a Big Finish audio drama. Harry, what do you think of that?
We've not actually talked about this yet, but I am just kind of, it doesn't feel quite real. Christopher Eccleston, at various times, has kind of spoken publicly about returning to the show, and he's always been seemingly very resistant to for various reasons. So the fact that he's reprising the role in any capacity, is amazing. And the fact that he's doing a full cast Big Finish audio drama is, I don't think anyone within the fan base ever anticipated this even as being something on the table.
Because I always thought, I know when I recently went back and watched some interviews with Russell and David when they were leaving the show, and they're being interviewed and they're saying, Russell saying, I don't know how I'm going to live without writing Doctor Who, and the interviewer makes a pass remark, or you could just work for Big Finish, and they laugh it off like it's sort of like a weird insult to say after this, your next job is definitely going to be at Big Finish. Obviously, David and Chris have gone on to Big Finish. But yeah, I didn't think this would be something that Chris would do, especially considering he's turned down the actual main show at least once. I didn't think he'd come back and do, especially Big Finish.
Yeah,
and not to demise Big Finish, but I just didn't expect it.
That is a question that emerges of, if he's willing to return and do Big Finish, and if he actually enjoys doing Big Finish, would that open up the possibility of him returning 60th?
I like to think it does, because I know I've watched a few interviews with him at conventions where he's just been, I don't think he's seen Jodie's Doctor, but I know he's worked with Jodie before on stage. So I know he's worked with Jodie, and he said that he's more than happy that she's the Doctor, and he was very supportive that there is now a female Doctor. So I feel like if he's willing to do this, it is a step closer to him hopefully coming back into the main show for the 60th. I wonder if there's a thing with the BBC and Big Finish where they're like, let's just see who we can sort of warm up and see if we can sort of lubricate people into sort of sliding themselves back into the main show.
I don't know. My understanding of this is limited, but I believe that Big Finish and the BBC operate quite separately. That the Big Finish just has the license to do Doctor Who audio dramas, and they aren't really. Other than that, they aren't really part of the BBC at all.
Yeah, I know they Time Lord Victorian stuff. I'm not sure if that's come from Big Finish or if that's on the BBC. I think it came from the BBC asking Big Finish to do a connected thing across different platforms. But I know what you mean. I think a lot of Big Finish stuff, if you listen to it, it's all standalone. It doesn't very much affect the canon of the actual show.
And that does open the questions of, obviously, Eccleston's tenure as the Doctor, the kind of timeline within the show's canon. Really, we kind of see him very close to when he becomes a Doctor, and right up to when he's no longer the Doctor. There is kind of a question of how much is there to explore, because he's getting 4 volumes, 3 stories each. So
12 episodes.
12 episodes. So 12, would that be if it's, I've never listened to Big Finish. If it's 4 volumes with 3 episodes, is it each, are those 3 episodes all part of one big story, or is each episode kind of its own separate adventure?
I imagine each volume, because it comes in volumes that you can buy in each volume, but it's 12 episodes altogether and it's split into volumes. I imagine each volume has its own contained story, but maybe if you listen to all the volumes together, it has a story arc.
I've just realised, like these 12 volumes, that's like pretty much the same as a full season.
Yeah, that's what I was
show.
thinking. Yeah,
So
it's like
we're
a whole second
effectively-
series.
Yeah, we're doubling up on the amount of Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who content.
No, I did think that. Do you want to hear have you read what Eccleston had to say? He said, after 15 years, it will be exciting to revisit the Ninth Doctor's world, bringing him back to, bringing a character back to life I love playing. I wonder if it will just be Chris that's returning, or if Billy will return as well to play Rose, who has done.
Because Billy has returned to Big Finish to play Rose with David Tennant, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has, and I think they gave her her own solo series as well.
Did Billy come back to do that, or is it just kind of a?
Yeah, no, she came back to do that as well. Yeah, and I think there's a strong chance that Billy would return, because I know Chris has said if I was going to return, people ask me. Obviously, I always take whatever Chris says with a grain of salt, because I know that his understanding of Doctor Who is he knows very little classic. He knows all of the stuff he was in, and then knows nothing after whatever he did. So whenever he gets asked stuff like, if you could have any other Doctor's companion at convention, if you can see this guy going, I don't have a clue who anyone else in this show is. So he always says it would always be Rose. So maybe he's just saying that, but it would be interesting to see if he holds himself to his own quotes.
I mean, I guess if they want to kind of maintain the canonicity of what is already established, it would make the most sense to do kind of stories during his time traveling with Rose. And I would be incredibly open to that. I think I've said before that I love the chemistry between Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper. Yeah. So to get more interactions between them, I would be all there for, like it might be enough for me to actually, purchase Big Finish, might actually pay for Doctor Who.
Well, do you want to know how much it would cost you if you were interested in buying?
It's only £15, right?
Well, each volume is available on 3 different formats. You can buy the digital download of each volume for $19.99. So you get 1 volume for $19.99. You get a volume on
together.
Well, I'll get to that. If you get it on CD for $25.99, limited edition vinyl for $35.99. So that's each volume. You can buy a bundle, so all the volumes on CD for £88, on digital download for £78, and on vinyl, every episode of the Ninth Doctor's Adventures with Big Finish on vinyl for £132.
Wow.
So it is, I don't know really how much Big Finish tends to cost. 12 new audio adventures for £88 on a CD. Because I would probably, if I was going to buy it, I'd buy a CD version so I can physically hold it. I would feel...
And then you can listen to it on a car, yeah.
Yeah, I feel £88 is maybe a lot, but I don't know what the standard Big Finish... I don't really know what that is.
I mean, if we think it's if you compare that to, say, like a box set of a new box set of a TV show season, I don't know how much, because I imagine that'll be roughly the same amount of content. And I think some of these kind of new, TV series on like DVD, Blu-ray can come to similar prices. So I imagine within that context, it's understandable.
Yeah, because it was only this year that they asked Chris if he would actually be interested in doing Big Finish. I think I'm just looking here, the chairman of Big Finish, he said, I first talked to Chris about returning to the role of the Doctor at the Gallifrey 1 convention in February this year. Chris said he was enjoying meeting fans and was pleased that his Doctor was remembered fondly. He indicated that he would be open to discussing a project with Big Finish. Oh, I'm just going to have to go get a tissue because I've just started bleeding from my arm.
When you come back, just go from reading whatever that quote was.
Okay, I will. I won't be saying. I'm just going to clean this blood up. 1 second.
Oh, crikey. Hello, I'm Christopher Eccleston. I'm the Ninth Doctor. Fantastic. Hello, I'm Billy. Oh, sorry, I was...
1 second, I can't hear you. I need to put my headphones in. What did you say?
You don't need to know. You can listen back.
Okay, right, okay. Right, so yeah.
You can decide whether or not to keep that in.
Okay, so the Big Finish chairman said in the statement that I first talked to Chris about returning to the role of the Doctor at the Gallifrey 1 convention in February this year. Chris said he was enjoying meeting fans and was pleased that his Doctor is remembered so fondly. He indicated that he would be open to discussing a project with Big Finish. So the fact that he sort of didn't shut them down straight away, clearly, and has gone the full hog, and now we're getting Ninth Doctor adventures. I wonder what Stephen Moffat thought when he heard this news.
Oh yeah, because didn't Eccleston turn down Moffat?
I think they went for lunch together. Yeah, I think they went for lunch, and I'd recently. You can go on YouTube and listen to the Stephen Moffat interview on the Doctor Who YouTube channel. And it's quite interesting how he talks about the production of the 50th and how the whole script was written with Chris in mind for that role. So for him, and he turned it down, saying it didn't do the Ninth Doctor justice. So I wonder.
So I guess if that's the case, I know that I think there's been a lot of discussion between Eccleston and the higher ups of Big Finish. So maybe that means that before he wanted to sign on, he wanted to give approval of what they wanted to do with his character.
Yes.
Maybe he kind of wanted the stories they did for him to be of a certain standard. And if that's the case, if Eccleston does have a certain standard that he wants to be met for the work he takes on, that's promising. That means that we could be in for some.
Because I imagine he doesn't check stuff where it's just his likeness, like every comic and every novel. I can't imagine he checks stuff like that. But yeah, if it's actually his name to it, he'll want it to be creditable. And obviously, he didn't find the 50th was suitable for his Doctor, so this would be interesting to see.
Like I know.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I know. Like when he originally did the first series of the show, the reason he gave when asked wasn't anything to do with Doctor Who as a property itself. It was that it was written by Russell T Davies, and that he loved his work as a writer.
Yeah.
And I feel like knowing that and knowing kind of what he deems important in the work he takes on, I think this could shape up to be something, special.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that with him saying that the reason he took on the role was because it was Russell, and then it was because of Russell and the two executive producers, Julie and Phil, I think his name is, that he actually ended up leaving the show. Because I know for a while it was very hush-hush about who actually at the BBC it was that he collided with, in the sense that he didn't get along with people at the head of the show. But in recent conventions, you go online and he just names them straight up.
Right.
So we know it to be Russell, Julie, and I think his name's Phil, who is the executive producer of that first series. And then he does go on to say, though, in the same interview, I'll try and link it below if I actually know how to. He goes on to say that his favourite episode of Doctor Who was with Stephen Moffat. And he said he felt like Stephen...
Empty Child?
Yeah, he said that Stephen really understood the Ninth Doctor, which then sort of contradicts the fact that he wasn't in the 50th, so...
I mean, that's interesting because, spoiler warning, I think I think my favourite Moffat episode is actually The Empty Child / The Doctor Dances. And it is it's not my favourite from Series 1, but that's because there's a lot of very good stories in Series 1.
Yes.
But that I can see that. It is, yeah.
So do you think these stories will just contain of the Doctor and Rose having adventures we didn't see on camera?
I think they could go either way. If they get Billy back, that's exactly what I think they're going to do.
Yeah.
I imagine they'll have them meeting some extra kind of... Well, it's interesting because you kind of have to think about what monsters they could meet without interfering with the canon of the show, because obviously... the Ninth Doctor and Rose couldn't meet the Cybermen because Rose doesn't meet the Cybermen until he regenerates into Tennant.
Yes.
Though if it's a mixture, I'm feeling like it's going to be a mixture of both solo Eccleston stories and Eccleston and Billy stories.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And so then in the solo stories, there'll be an opportunity for the Ninth Doctor to interact with monsters such as the Cybermen, ones who Billy met later.
I'd really like to see Chris interact with someone like Davros or the Master, a really big up villain, because he didn't really get any of that. He got the Dalek Emperor, which was his sort of that was like his biggest enemy he faced. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see
The one thing with Dalek content within this story is that really it's kind of quite firmly established that the Ninth Doctor's first time encountering a Dalek is in the story Dalek, and then he doesn't see them again until Bad Wolf.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That's true. Yeah. Maybe we can finally find out. Sorry, go on.
There is the possibility of him meeting an incarnation of the Master, though. It's just a question of which version of the Master. Because obviously it couldn't be Derek Jacobi, because Tennant, when he meets him, he doesn't realise he's the Master. I don't know. Could he meet the Master? Because
I know Big Finish have a strange big catalogue of their own in-canon Masters.
Versions of the Master.
Yeah, I think Mark Gatiss has even played one at one point, so who knows?
I mean, maybe, because if I'm remembering Series 3 right, the 10th Doctor doesn't realise that the Master survived the Time War until the finale of Series 3. Is that right?
I think that's right, yeah. So until he meets Professor Yana, he doesn't realise it's the Master.
There could be a possibility that he could meet an incarnation of a Master without knowing they're a Master.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, supposedly, you're right. There's really two... Yeah, the first... It's very clear when he first meets a Dalek. It's the first time after the Time War is in Dalek. And the first time he meets the Master is Professor Yana. And up to that point, he's always believed he was the last of the Time Lords.
Yeah. I mean, I would absolutely love to see him interact with characters such as the Master. It's just a question of if they can find a way to do it that kind of maintains that consistent timeline, or if they'll just do it and then like wipe his mind or something at the end.
Yeah, or they could even do multi-Doctor team-ups, so we could actually have a Christopher Eccleston multi-Doctor episode.
Ooh. What Doctor would you want Eccleston to team up with?
Instantly, I want to say David Tennant, just because I feel they're my two Doctors. I came into the show on Tennant, and then the next Doctor I saw after that was Eccleston. That said, I feel that would lend itself better to the actual show. So maybe for Big Finish, it would have to be maybe someone classic. Maybe someone like Colin Baker would be quite interesting to see, or even Sylvester McCoy.
I could see that working. Yeah,
Eccleston and Colin Baker.
Yeah. For some reason you said it, and I can imagine there being a chemistry between them that works. Because I know that Colin Baker is like really, really. He's done loads of Big Finish. Like he's so comfortable in it. So that would also. It would almost be kind of a good kind of way to introduce him into that world of Big Finish with someone who's very firmly established within it. Like same could be said for, say, Paul McGann. Yeah.
Yeah, I did think of Paul McGann, but because you obviously have the War Doctor in between, so that would still work for the two of them.
And
because all we know about these Big Finish stories so far is that it's going to be 12 of them. Chris is going to be an old 12, and Nicholas Briggs, creative director at Big Finish, and also the voice of the Daleks.
And the Cybermen.
And the Cybermen, sorry. He had this to say. He said, working with Chris was a very special time for me. It was the beginning of my Doctor Who TV career. So writing and directing him feels incredibly exciting. He's such a powerful performer, and it'd be amazing to see. It'd be amazing to work with him again. So I'm not sure if Nicholas Briggs can be writing and directing all 12. I imagine they will have guest writers come on. It'd be interesting to see if they actually get someone like Mark Gatiss or Stephen Moffat to come in.
Yeah.
And write episodes.
Mark Gatiss started off doing stuff like novels and Big Finish for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I've got some Mark Gatiss stuff to talk about when we talk about episode 3.
Brilliant. So we'll talk about then.
Tune back in for that.
Oh, I have one thing that I've heard people discuss as a possibility for these with Eccleston. I want to know what your thoughts are on it. Also, people have said, do you think that they'll have him have a story with Riversong? And if so, what would your thoughts on that be?
Oh, yes. That would be quite interesting.
Because Riversong, I know, in Big Finish, hasn't she met a lot of the classic Doctors, and she
I'm
always
pretty sure she's
erases
met-
their mind?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's met all the living incarnations of all the living actors. I know she's met Baker and Davison. So I would definitely, I'd be up for seeing that. I think that would be interesting because that would really link the current show up to a certain date with the really early stuff of New Who.
I know that I quite like River Song as a character. And I like how fun she is, and kind of we did kind of discussed how kind of in episode 2 of series 1 there is that thing with Eccleston being actually quite receptive to flirtations of other characters, female characters. I think it would be quite fun to see how Eccleston and River Song would play off each other.
No, yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
because I think quite early on in especially in series 1, Eccleston's Doctor is a hard nut. I imagine he's a guy you see at the pub. He's not very easily persuaded, whereas Tennant is, he is a Romeo, isn't he? Women flirt with him and he flirts with women. And then you get to Matt Smith, who's just the most socially awkward person. If anyone flirts with Matt Smith, I just feel like he just cripples himself and falls over and doesn't know what to do. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Cool. Well, I think we can wrap this shorter episode up. We're going to be talking about Series 1, Episode 3 next, which is called what, Harry?
I've got it. It's The Unquiet Dead by Mark Gatiss.
So we're going to go ahead and talk about that now. That might be up by the time you listen to this. It depends where you listen to this. So, cool. We will see you again soon. Say bye, Harry.
Bye-bye.
So where was I? Oh, that's right. Barcelona.